So basically, hello everybody, this is the Michelle Francis YouTube channel. Um, basically, it is Michael.Howard. It was Michael.Howard all the time. And reason why I'm sitting in this situation is because Michael.Howard has been using the CIA, ultimately the police, to kill me, to try and kill me. My health has deteriorated so badly, but I kept thinking, at first I thought they were just trying to cause me harm or damage my reputation, but now I realized ultimately the objective was to kill me. Unless I go to Jesus. Now I understand what the Jesus is about, because my stepmother, who was a white woman, passed away in passed away in 2009. Now, this had nothing to do with me. That's why they've been putting Sasha Johnson or Sasha Johnson's people on my back, and Keisha Mirage, and a whole heap of other people. Huda, a Somalian girl called Huda, Naomi, all these young women who I helped like a mother daughter almost. You know, they have been turning them against me, to make up lies against me and almost kill me. Now, I swear you to God, I have never made up any lies. When I exposed the truth about my stepmother, that she was a very wicked stepmother. And the thing about it is, you know what the funny thing is about it? I said that The Color Purple, the film The Color Purple, was made about me, but not me in particular. My mom, my real mom, my dad, my sister Yvonne, and myself. And funny enough, I was right. I knew I was right. So people like Steven Spielberg have got the truth all the time. Whole heap of people have got the truth. You know what I mean? In the media and stuff like that, because they did that film, so they knew what she was like. So they knew I didn't lie, and that she stabbed me right here and scarred me in my face when I was 15 years old. She was a very horrible, nasty woman. This is the reason why I was taken into care. And Michael.Howard's just been lying and making it out like, oh, I was a bad child. No, it's not true. It's not true. I was an abused child, terribly abused, worse than Victoria Clumby. You know, cases like when you hear of Victoria Clumby, who suffered so badly and died as a result, I think, of undiagnosed infection. Because Victoria Clumby came from Ivory Coast. She didn't have childhood immunizations, but the abuse she suffered, I suffered worse. I looked worse than that. There were photographs, there was evidence, there was witnesses. When I used to get beaten from a very young age, I looked very much exactly like Victoria Clumby, actually, funny enough. And the beatings were worse than that. I was kept off school for weeks at a time because the beatings were so bad. And Michael.Howard is covering all this up. And then the thing about it, he's insisting that I must come to Jesus and I must take accountability for her death. Now, nobody officially has recorded her death as anything other than she passed away during an operation under an anesthetic for a hip operation. Now, the reason why she had a hip operation, she nothing wrong with it. She just lying. She just running to the hospital, to the doctors, and they were pampering her. She's running. Oh, I can't walk properly. Oh, following her mother who had a recent hip operation, and she was in a mobility scooter. So she wanted to run and jump in a mobility scooter, and try get sympathy, and not take consequences for her actions and her behavior, to avoid taking the consequences by pretending, or exaggerating that she couldn't walk properly because of her hip and all that. She was exaggerating. She didn't want to take accountability, you see. And they forcing me, I must go to Jesus. The police are very racist. And Michael.Howard too. So the thing about it, there was, I didn't, the first time I came on social media was 2009. No, 2008. No, 2008 or 2009. And I didn't mention my stepmother because I didn't know how to use social media then. So how was I supposed to have caused her death? Think about it. There was no social media tools for me to use. You know what I mean? How the fuck? Because just by me speaking the truth, which wasn't to very many people, just a couple of people who I said, my stepmother was wicked. Now, she was an evil bitch and she abused me throughout my childhood, which was true. Now, Michael.Howard doesn't want to accept this. Now, many Eastern European men have come up to me in the past 2, 3, 4 years and told me, oh, you better pray and go to Jesus. Why the fuck should I pray? These white Eastern European, Polish, Yugoslavia and all this type of people telling me I must go to fucking Jesus. Now, and Michael.Howard has been saying, oh, it's my fault. I started it. And you know what? I didn't start nothing. It's all a lie. It's all a lie. And I did not kill my stepmother. Because, and I'm not saying because, I'm frightened now. No. Honest to God, I didn't do anything to kill the woman. All I did was take a claim out in the courts. I took a claim out at Bradford Court in Yorkshire against my stepmother in the court to bring her in the court. Now, at that time, I did not know what even worse things about her, how she was directly involved in raping me in King's Cross, getting others, inciting others, encouraging others to rape me, degrade me violently, very violently, infect me deliberately with serious STDs, and put some dirty, nasty white girl there who I believe is actually my niece. Because a lot of people don't know that my older brother, who's older than me, he's called Graham, he's mixed race, he's biracial. His children are 2 white women. And so they're effectively white. His youngest daughter, he named her after me, Michelle. Her name is Michelle. So whether she's called Misha for sure or Shell or something nickname, she's named after me. My brother named, my mixed race brother named her after me because he cherished me so much as his little sister. He named his youngest daughter after me. Now, all I know, I've never met her. But my white stepmother has always kept hold of the contact details for Michelle's mother after I left home. Because Graham came and he passed it on to her to give to me and Yvonne, but especially me. It was never intended for Rini to keep it because, theoretically speaking, even though my stepmother is white, she's not related to my white niece. There is no blood relation between my white stepmother and my white niece. I am black, Jamaican, African, Caribbean. I am directly blood related to my white niece. So my white stepmother didn't like my brother. She didn't acknowledge him. And he didn't like her neither because of her attitude. So he never gave her the contact details for my niece for her to keep. But she kept hold of it as if it was her business. And she kept in contact and did not give me the contact details. Now, do you see how very wrong that is? I don't know if you're missing the point out there, a lot of you. Do you know how wrong that is? And now my stepmother, my white stepmother, was the type of person you could not keep hold. She didn't give you any details or contact details of her family. Because she's got half brothers and sisters around in London and all over. Relatives, yeah, and around England. And even her mother, who was my step-grandmother, who I grew up with, who I consider as my grandmother, she wouldn't allow us to go there and visit her mother. She said, you keep away from my mother. You're not allowed to go there without my permission. Yet this white woman kept hold of the contact details of Michelle, my niece, my blood-related niece, when my white stepmother is not related. She's not related to her. It's got nothing to do with her. It's not her business. But she kept hold of the contact details and kept in contact with Graham's baby mother and his daughter Michelle, his white baby mother and his white daughter Michelle, who is my niece. And really had no right to do that. Graham did not like her. He didn't talk to her. But obviously, I left home. So when Graham passed by there after I left home, he must have left the contact details to pass on to me and Yvonne, but not really Yvonne, because Yvonne didn't really talk to him. I was the only one. So those contact details were left directly only for me, not for Rini. She should never have got in contact with my niece's mother and be talking to my niece's mother like she and them are co-op and she and them are family and she and them are blood, because they're not related. You know, do you see the point I'm making? She's not related, and she doesn't. My stepmother would not like and appreciate me getting in contact with her white family, her family who are white. So she used, my stepmom was very clever, you know. She deliberately kept hold of the details because she knows that white is a privilege. So she's hanging on to my relative, my white relatives' contact details as if she had a right, as if it was her own when it's nothing to do with her. They're not blood related, remember. But my black family, I've got lots of black family, Jamaican black family all over. She didn't have any contact with them, make any contact with them. But the white one, who is the same exact blood relatives as the Jamaican ones, because my white niece, who's my brother Graham's daughter, is related to all my Jamaican relatives, directly blood related to all my Jamaican relatives, my black, full black Jamaican relatives. It's the same family, my dad's side. So she never, my white stepmother never wanted anything to do with my black family, but she's hanging on to my white family, the contact details. You see? To manipulate the situation because into her favor, because she knows that white is a privilege. Because she never hung on to the black side of family, who are the same blood lineage through my dad as my niece. She wasn't interested in hanging on to the black blood family. So the thing about it is, I believe somewhere, and she kept hold of contact details of police in Leeds who daddy used to keep good communications with, because he was running blues and shebeen, so, and people used to bun their spliff there and drink and after hours illegal parties. So Daddy was not an informer or a grass. He just used to keep good relation between the police and the local black community, so that they can keep up their shebeen and their party and bun their spliff without police raiding the place. You know what I mean? Arresting man and taking man into custody and all them something there. So those contact that Daddy had with certain close police officers in Chapeltown Police Station in Leeds, she kept on hold of those details, because basically Daddy had died by this time. That's why my stepmother kept hold of my brother Graham's baby mother contact details, which is my niece, who has my niece, and the police officers that Daddy was in close contact with, during his business, which he used to run shebeen. Really, after Daddy died, really kept hold of all these contact details. Why are you doing that? Why is she doing that? So I believe the white girl that they put there, because I'm a victim of rape, but what it is, I believe that was my niece who they forced there, on me to, you know what I mean? And then I'm the one who was raped and all kinds of stuff. I'm forced to do things that I don't want to do, and infected with gonorrhea. And then my stepmother was behind it all the time. And then she used my niece, who's not fucking related to her. Who's not related to her. They're not even related. So, hear the argument now. The argument again. Because there was more than one rape in King's Cross. Or there was one in Tulse Hill, where I was... they stabbed me with a needle and I was unconscious, and they were doing all kind of thing, making porno videos while on my dead body, boogering me while I was unconscious and making porno. And my stepmother, my white daughter, is thinking. And then the fact is, she's a wicked, nasty, evil blood clot, because she murdered my dad. She caused my dad. She was involved in it. I know black people were involved in it too. They'd been convinced against my daddy. And even Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad, he could have directly been involved. I've been under that impression for a long time now. But I still love Dr. Khalid, because Dr. Khalid, when he talks about The Color Purple, the film, clearly he said, you can see he was deceived by the CIA intelligence. You see? And then black people jump in to kill Daddy because he's gay, he's bisexual, in the closet. And Dr. Khalid was ignorant, he was younger then, and they were deceived by the CIA intelligence. So they didn't know until after. Years and years later, things start to come out, the truth start to come out. You understand? So Rini was happy. She was definitely involved in murdering, because Daddy said she's going to take all the money and not give you any. So after Daddy was murdered, she took the fucking money for real and did not give me any fun. She told me and Yvonne were not getting any. So she was definitely participating in Daddy's murder. You know what I mean? So the next thing again, what the fuck is that? Oh, poor thing. So the next thing again now is, I did not kill her. And they put in images of her, and she doesn't even look anything like that. She's ugly. She was real fucking ugly, and out of shape and look disgusting. But they're trying to portray her in an image to make her look better than what she actually looks in real life. And is everywhere I go, because somebody said on social media, somebody who's dead, they keep trying to haunt me with this dead person image, which is my stepmother. And then I must come to Jesus. I would never fucking come to Jesus. I didn't kill her, the woman. I never, and the thing about it, I didn't even want her to be killed, not because I care about her. I don't give a, I blatantly don't care about her, anymore. After what she said to me, But what it is, I didn't, what she was better to me alive. Because I realized she was my enemy. But she was an enemy that I needed alive because I was trying to bring a claim in the court against her. So I needed her to come into the court to be she was the defendant and I was the claimant. And all the accusations I was bringing against her were not a lie. So, and the thing about it, people out there, I was doing it through the proper legal channels. I had a claim against her. When she died, I had a claim in the court, in Bradford court. So, therefore, I couldn't be lying because why would I take it into the court? And therefore, there's a channel, a procedure. So she would have to stand up on the witness box and she would have her opportunity to say yay or nay. And it was a civil claim. It wasn't a criminal case. It was a civil case. It was a claim of childhood abuses and all kinds of stuff that I wanted to bring. And at that point, I wasn't exactly sure about her direct involvement that in my rape. It was confirmed after she died. That's why Michael.Howard did not want me to bring the claim in the court because every whole heap of things would have come out and been proved. And then also she would have been confessed that Daddy was in the newspapers in the 1970s. You understand? Allegedly for paedophilia. She would have confessed all of that in the witness box. You know what I mean? And Michael.Howard did not want her to confess all of this. The police, the CIA, they want to keep it stushed and pretend that it never happened. So, really and truly, they're making out like P. Diddy and Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston and all these people, the Black Hollywood, Oprah Winfrey, were responsible for Reenie's death. It's not P. Diddy and it's not Michael Jackson. I'm telling you now, I fucking know. I fucking know it. She was murdered. She was murdered. I believe she was murdered. But you know what happened? It's not proved that she was murdered because she suffered from epilepsy. She suffered from severe epilepsy. So when somebody suffers from epilepsy and they go under anesthetic, there is a very, very high risk, 99%, that they can actually die, have an epileptic fit while in a coma. And there's nothing you can do that can pass away very easily. But the thing about it, I honestly believe the people in power got rid of certain people. I believe something keeps telling me Tony Blair. Something, I don't know what it is. People like Tony Blair, Dr. Brown. People, something just keep, I don't know why. Tony Blair keeps coming to mind when it comes to the real person behind my white stepmother really passing away. Tony Blair keeps coming to mind because my mother maybe never was directly linked to Tony Blair. I don't know, but I don't think she was directly linked. I'm not sure. But what I feel, there was a cartel at the time of her involvement against me. There was a cartel. You know, that means there was a joint conspiracy. And then against me. And she was empowered as a white woman with white privilege to beat me down as a black woman just because I'm a black woman. You know what I mean? And I don't tolerate no bullshit. And the white woman in Sutton came to beat me. And she came to kill my baby in my stomach. And I just kick her down, thump her down one time because I have to defend my baby, which was my son. And then the thing about it is, Tony Blair keeps coming to mind. I think Tony Blair was directly involved in getting rid of my stepmother. I just don't know why. For years and years, this has been on my mind since she passed away. Tony Blair just keeps springing to my mind. My spirit keeps pushing up Tony Blair in my head when it comes to the direct link of Rini being unalived, basically. I think Tony Blair was involved because, like I said, she may not have been directly linked to Tony Blair physically, but my stepmother somehow knew certain people who put her up on what certain things that were going on that directly linked to Tony Blair. And the only thing Tony Blair could do was he couldn't blatantly just kill her like that. It would be too bait. He stir up and empower certain black people in Hollywood or around, you know what I mean, to get rid of her. So it looks like, oh, the black people, they've got power, they've got the control. No, you're all being fooled. It was Tony Blair. My spirit from a long time keep telling me, Tony Blair. You understand? So the direct link there to Rini's death, because he couldn't afford her to grasp up all these other people that would eventually link the pyramid to him, directly sabotaging the black woman like me just because they're fucking racist. And you might be thinking, how the fuck are you Tony Blair? Tony Blair lived next door to the solicitor Henry Hodge, who represented me in 1999 from January. And he was conspiring against me. He was working against me, yet he was supposed to be acting in my best interest, but he wasn't. He was acting in a directly racist capacity, and at the time he was living directly next door to Tony Blair. His wife, Henry Hodge's wife, is the senior MP, Margaret Hodge. Do you see the connection now? And then my stepmom suddenly got unalive, and it looked like, oh, all these people were... It's not them. They're shitting their knickers because they feel, say, they did certain things that led to her death or caused her death by mocking her or turning people against her. No, it wasn't that. Tony Blair wanted you to think you were empowered, black people. You were never empowered. It was all a trick, an illusion, the dunya. He was in control all the time, but he could not make it look like it was directly him. You see, and he's a lefty. So he, and like I said, at the time there, to be honest with you, I think there was a joint conspiracy with these people at the top when they were sabotaging me and raping me and putting my children at risk of being raped and actually being raped. Tony, when Henry Hodge represented me and he was sabotaging me hard, writing lies about me in the court when he was my legal representative, he was living next door to Tony Blair. His wife is Margaret Hodge, a Jewish, very senior Labour MP, long-standing. They were living, Margaret Hodge and Henry Hodge were living next door to Tony Blair and Cherie Blair. At the time, Henry Hodge was representing me and sabotaging me and trying to kill me. Do you see? And Henry Hodge and Tony Blair were very good friends. Henry Hodge, Tony Blair, Cherie Blair and Margaret Hodge were all very close. They used to have parties every day, regular parties, dinner parties, and all that kind of thing. I read all about him in 2019. And then the Chinese people stole all the evidence that I wrote out, the research, because I couldn't believe I found all this information. I found so much information you will be shocked. It was right there on the internet all the time, and I didn't know till it was late 2019. I researched it. I wrote it all down in this book. But for some reason, I went shopping in 2020 January 2020, I had the book there in my bag. So I was looking at something because I wrote down the shopping list on the book because I couldn't find any more paper. So I put the book at the top of the shopping bag, went to sit at the back of the bus, and a Chinese man came on and he was hovering around my bag. But I didn't think anything because I thought it's only a book there, with my writing in it and my shopping, my yam and banana. When I ready to get off the bus, the book was gone. And the Chinese man had long gone. Then after he stole my book, all of a sudden, the COVID-19 licked the whole world. So I know there's a lot of shit going on there at the top. But they're diverting everybody attention from the real thing. Because there is some truth in these Chinese were involved in something. Because this Chinese man in January 2020 stole my book with all my writing research that I had in there about Henry Hodge and Tony Blair and Margaret Hodge and Cherie Blair, and plus lots of other research and notes I had in there. Now, why would this? It was handwritten. Why the fuck is this Chinese man, so interested in my fucking book? The man was hovering around the book. He came there, he was following me, and he steal the book with all that information in it. And now since he stole it in January 2020, I can't find the research again on the internet. It's like they've wiped it off the internet. Something's going on. And if you ask me, it was a cartel originally. When they were sabotaging me, they were all working together. And that's why, another thing I want to tell you, Henry Hodge died. He passed away from a sudden, vigorous, violent brain cancer tumor. And he passed away in pain and agony and suffering because he was grassing up. You see me? He was grassing up because at some point, when I started to speak out and protest on the street about all the things that were happening to me, little did I know how deep it goes. I have no idea. I couldn't have even fathomed. So the shit was starting to hit the fan. This little black woman, she's going out there and she's talking, and she's attracting a lot of attention, and she's talking. The shit started to hit the fan. And Tony Blair got rid of Henry Hodge. I'm talking to you, listen, I don't care what anybody wants to say. Tony Blair that wasn't no sudden, it looked like, he just suddenly got cancer. As the shit hit the fan and certain things are being dig up, he just suddenly get dead. Died of cancer, sudden cancer. It's a lie. They infected him, they give him cancer to die, or they said he had cancer, they killed him. Because Henry Hodge is a coward, really. And really, he's not important, nobody important. Margaret Hodge is a Jew, and she was born into, Margaret Hodge is a Jew, and she was born into money. Henry Hodge wasn't. He was not born into money. He had to work his way up through the social ladder, So he was the one ultimately that was sacrificed because he ain't nobody. He's just a normal Joe Bloggs, really, who worked his way up the social ladder. Margaret Hodge, apparently, she's a Jew who was born into money. She was born into money. That's what a lot of people didn't realize. So basically, they got rid of Henry Hodge because the VIP, there was a cartel involved with Michael.Howard and the High Court judge. A lot of them were involved at the top, not just undermining me and causing me damage as a black woman all these long time ago, years ago, it was a complete racial conspiracy. They were undermining a lot of black women, turning them into prostitutes, like Keisha Maraj from Jamaica. At 14, they turned her into prostitute. And whole heap of women, Naomi from Uganda, turned her into prostitute and drugs. Whole heap of women, a whole heap of things. Susan Coates, they attacked Susan Coates and stabbed her in the eye. Some dirty African man stabbed her in the eye on the stairs while the mainstream media were filming it. Whole heap of things, millions and millions of things where black women have been attacked and undermined and sabotaged. That's what they were doing. That's why they were fighting to hush everybody up, because it ultimately unveils a whole mass conspiracy where black women in the UK, all over the UK, were being deliberately targeted and undermined. You understand me? So it wasn't just about me. It was a whole conspiracy where black women suddenly identify and say, wait a minute. Whoa, hang on a minute. That girl's talking sense there, because certain things happen in a certain way. You see me? So I believe it was something to do with... Yeah, anyway. But I don't care about Rini, because she turned around. I was actually defending her initially, because I saw her as my mom. And I never knew what was going on. I didn't have a fucking clue then. Otherwise, I would have spit in her face and stabbed her in her eye. But I didn't know what was going on. So I stuck up for my stepmom. I said, what's going on here? We're all being affected here. I said, this is my mom. I grew up with this woman. But I didn't know what was going on. And while I was defending the dirty white bitch, what she turned around and said? On the phone, I show off with the white people, the Conservative Party on the other end of the line. It was like a third-way call. She turned around and said, oh, when I met your dad, I didn't want these two ugly black shit. Hey, you calling me ugly and you look like a fucking dog's ass. And from that's why I turned against her. And I didn't turn it against her. That is the reason why I rejected her. From that day forth, I rejected her as my mother. I said to myself, you are no longer my mother from this day forth. And then basically, she, as far as I'm concerned, she's my enemy. Because more and more information was being unveiled to me. This woman never cared about you. Even the other day, a white man, he was walking with a Chinese woman in Hyde Park Speaker's Corner. And he said, that white stepmother of yours, he's a white man, educated white man. He said, she never cared about you and your sister Yvonne in the first place. We should have never been placed with her. It was never my fault. I did not do anything. Michael.Howard is lying. All this stupid story. I was stolen. Me and Yvonne were kidnapped from our real mother. I was 10 months old. And my mother was fighting for her children. Now she had one other child after me, and a daughter called Stephanie, who the social services named. Stephanie was taken into care at 3 months old. So I must have still been there in the care of my mum or something like that. And, or I don't know, kidnapped at that point. Stephanie was my mum gave her away at 3 months old to be adopted to a white family where she grew up with a white family. And we never knew about this because mummy never mentioned it. She completely denied she had another child. She told me all my life, she told me I was her last child. I was the youngest, I was the baby. And funny enough, I was spoiled by my mum because I was treated as the last child, the baby of the family. And my mum kept fighting ever since I was 10 months old to have me and Yvonne back, but she didn't want Stephanie. That's why the social services would not let her have me and Yvonne, because they said, oh, well, how can you fight over those two and you don't want that one? You're rejecting that one. So they've had a lot of discussions on the social media about, animals that give birth to a litter. And they're so protective of all of the litter except one of the litter is rejected. So they're doing these social experiments and they're referring to my mother, who basically, she had 5 girls, and she loved all 4 of the 5 girls, but the last one, she rejected it. She didn't have any bond. She rejected it. And she rejected that child because it was an incestuous relationship. The last child, which is Stephanie, who was named by the social services and given up for adoption at 3 months old to a white adoptive family. Stephanie dad was my mum's uncle, my mum's brother. That's why mummy instinctively just rejected that one. She didn't want anything to do with it, the child, because that situation, because it was incest. And I suppose mummy was so deeply embarrassed and ashamed. Yeah, and she didn't get the support or counselling or nothing. And you know, incest was never it's never been illegal. It's always been legal. That's enough for now. So I never killed my white stepmother. All I did was tell the truth, and I never caused nothing. It's a lie. They keep covering everything up, covering everything. They're all lying.